Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring the INFP personality type,
Yeah.
sometimes called the Idealist or the Mediator.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be looking at two articles from the Spiritual Seek, and we'll try to unpack what makes these INFPs tick,
Okay.
how they see the world,
Yeah. Yeah.
what drives them, and what challenges they face.
Sounds good.
So,
It's a fascinating personality type,
yeah,
known for its creativity, empathy, and having a rich inner world.
right. And I think a lot of people listening probably resonate with some of the INFP traits,
Yeah.
even if they don't fully identify with the type.
Sure.
So imagine a person who's deeply driven by a sense of purpose,
Mm-hmm.
someone who sees authenticity in every aspect of life
Mm-hmm.
and is naturally drawn to creative expression.
Yeah.
That's a classic INFP.
Yeah.
They're often described as introspective and idealistic with a strong moral compass guiding their decisions.
Yeah, and it's interesting how this sense of purpose often manifests. INFPs aren't driven by external rewards, like, wealth or status.
Right.
Their fulfillment comes from aligning with their values and making a meaningful contribution to the world.
That makes sense. Now, the articles mention that INFPs navigate the world using a unique blend of feeling and intuition.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
Certainly.
Great.
It all comes down to their cognitive functions.
Okay.
The dominant function for INFPs is introverted feeling.
Okay.
You can think of it as like a strong internal compass that guides their decisions.
Uh-huh.
It's not about logic or external factors.
Right.
It's about what feels right at their core,
Oh, okay.
what aligns with their personal values.
So like they have this deep well of emotions and values that they constantly refer to?
Precisely.
Right.
And this plays a huge role in how they approach relationships, their work, and pretty much every aspect of their lives.
That's fascinating. What about intuition?
Yeah.
How does that come into play for INFPs?
Their secondary function is extroverted intuition, which acts like a mental antenna,
Uh-huh.
constantly scanning for possibilities.
Okay.
They're good at seeing the big picture, connecting seemingly disparate ideas, and envisioning potential outcomes.
Okay, so while introverted feeling is about their inner world, extroverted intuition helps them connect that inner world to the outer world.
You could say that.
Okay.
It allows them to find meaning and patterns in the external world,
Uh-huh.
often in ways that others might miss.
So let's say an INFP is at a party.
Yeah.
How might these two functions, introverted feeling and extroverted intuition, work together?
Well, their introverted feeling might make them initially feel a bit overwhelmed
There we go.
or out of place in a large social setting.
Wow.
But their extroverted intuition could help them tune into the underlying dynamics between people,
Uh-huh.
sense the unspoken emotions, and maybe even find a quiet corner to connect with someone who shares their interests.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
It really brings these concepts to life.
And it highlights how INFPs can be both deeply introspective and surprisingly insightful about the world around them.
Right.
They're not just dreamers.
Yeah.
They can be keen observers,
Uh-huh.
picking up on nuances that others might miss.
Now, the articles also mention two other cognitive functions.
Yeah.
Introverted sensing and extroverted thinking.
Yeah.
Could you briefly touch on those?
Of course.
Okay.
Introverted sensing, their tertiary function, is about connecting to concrete experiences and details. While INFPs might not be detail-oriented in the traditional sense,
Right.
they have a remarkable ability to vividly recall sensory details and emotions associated with past experiences.
Wow.
It's like they store these memories in a rich tapestry,
Mm.
and they can revisit those moments to extract meaning and apply it to their present understanding.
I see. So it's not just about the past.
Right.
It's about using those past experiences to inform their present and future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's extroverted thinking, their least developed function.
Okay.
This one focuses on logic, analysis, and objective decision-making.
Mm-hmm.
It's about bringing order and structure to their external world.
So it sounds like extroverted thinking might be a bit of a challenge for INFPs since their dominant function is all about feeling.
It can be.
Yeah.
Developing their extroverted thinking can help them translate their inner world into concrete actions
Mm-hmm.
and achieve their goals in a more structured way.
This is all starting to paint a really interesting picture of the INFP.
And are drawn to people who share their values and ideals.
That makes sense given their strong introverted feeling.
Yeah.
They're not likely to settle for superficial relationships.
Exactly. And their extroverted intuition allows them to see the potential in others, often recognizing qualities that others might overlook.
Yeah.
This can make them incredibly supportive and encouraging partners and friends.
But the articles also point out that INFPs can be quite idealistic, which can sometimes create challenges in relationships.
That's true. Their idealism can lead to high expectations.
Yeah.
Which, if not tempered with a dose of realism, can sometimes lead to disappointment.
So it's a balancing act between holding on to those ideals
Yeah.
while also accepting the imperfections that exist in any relationship.
Precisely. And this is where developing their less dominant functions.
Okay.
Like extroverted thinking can be helpful, learning to communicate their needs clearly and approach conflict constructively can contribute to healthier relationships.
And what about conflict avoidance?
Okay.
The articles mention that as a common challenge for INFPs.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, because they value harmony and feel things so deeply.
Yeah.
Conflict can feel particularly draining for INFPs. They might avoid confrontation in an effort to preserve peace.
Right.
But as we discussed earlier, this can sometimes lead to unresolved issues down the line.
So it's not that they're afraid of conflict.
Right.
It's more that they experience it more intensely than other types might.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of developing healthy coping mechanisms for dealing with conflict.
Okay.
Learning to communicate their feelings assertively and finding ways to compromise without compromising their values is key.
Now let's shift gears and talk about work.
Okay.
What kind of careers are well suited for INFPs?
INFPs thrive in environments that allow them to express their creativity, align with their values, and make a positive impact on the world. They're often drawn to careers that involve helping others or contributing to a greater good.
So we might find INFPs working as writers,
Yeah.
artists, counselors, teachers, or even activists.
Absolutely. These careers allow them to tap into their introverted feeling and extroverted intuition, can use their understanding of emotions and their ability to see potential to make a real difference in the lives of others.
But the articles also caution against INFPs getting stuck in jobs that feel soul-crushing,
Right.
even if they seem practical on the surface.
That's right. For an INFP, feeling a sense of purpose in their work is non-negotiable. They might be able to tolerate a less than ideal job for a while,
Right.
but eventually that lack of alignment will take its toll.
So it's about finding that sweet spot where their passion meets their skills and their values.
Precisely. And it might take some experimentation to find the right fit.
Yeah.
INFPs shouldn't be afraid to explore different career paths,
Okay.
try new things, and see what resonates with their authentic selves.
That's good advice for anyone, really.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about relationships and work.
Right.
But what about thriving as an INFP in a broader sense? What does that look like?
Thriving for an INFP is about finding a balance
Okay.
between their rich inner world and the demands of the external world.
Uh-huh.
It's about honoring their need for solitude and reflection, while also engaging with the world in a way that feels meaningful and authentic.
So it's not about becoming an extrovert or suppressing their sensitive nature.
Not at all. It's about embracing who they are,
Yeah.
while also developing the tools and strategies to navigate the world in a way that supports their well-being
Right.
and allows them to shine their unique light.
I like that analogy, shining their unique light.
Yeah.
So what are some practical steps INFPs can take to nurture their strengths and navigate their challenges?
That's an excellent question, and it's something we'll delve into as we wrap up our exploration of the INFP personality.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in our exploration of the INFP personality.
Yeah.
We've talked about their core values, their cognitive functions, and how these traits influence their relationships and work.
Right.
Now let's turn our attention to some practical tips for INFPs to thrive,
Okay.
drawing from the insights shared in the articles from the Spiritual Seek.
One of the key takeaways is the importance of self-care.
Okay.
INFPs, with their deep empathy and sensitivity,
Yeah.
can easily become overwhelmed by the emotions of others
Right.
or the demands of the world around them.
So it's crucial for them to prioritize their well-being,
Yeah,
both emotional and physical.
absolutely. Creating healthy boundaries is essential. This could mean learning to say no to things that drain their energy,
Okay.
making time for solitude and activities that recharge them,
Right.
or simply stepping away from situations that feel overwhelming.
The articles also emphasize the importance of finding healthy outlets for their rich inner world.
Exactly. Journaling, creative expression, meditation. These are all practices that can help INFPs process their emotions, explore their thoughts, and connect with their inner wisdom.
It's like giving themselves permission to delve into that depth without getting lost in it.
That's a good way to put it. It's about finding a balance between exploring their inner landscape and grounding themselves in the present moment.
Another tip that stood out to me was learning to trust their intuition.
Yes, INFPs often have a strong sense of what feels right or wrong,
Right.
a gut feeling that guides their decisions.
Yeah.
Honing this intuitive ability can be incredibly empowering.
But it sounds like it's also important for them to be aware of their tendency to over-idealize.
That's a valid point. INFPs hold high standards for themselves and others, which can sometimes lead to disappointment or disillusionment if reality doesn't match their expectations.
So how can they navigate that tension between their idealism and the realities of the world?
It's about finding a balance, as with so many things in life.
Yep.
Acknowledge those high ideals,
Okay.
but also practice acceptance of the imperfections that exist in every person and situation.
The articles also touch on the importance of developing their less dominant cognitive functions,
Right.
particularly extroverted thinking.
Right. Developing their extroverted thinking can help INFPs bring more structure and organization to their lives, which can be beneficial in both their personal and professional pursuits. It's about strengthening their ability to plan, analyze,
Okay.
and make decisions based on logic and objective criteria.
It's not about changing who they are, but rather expanding their toolkits, so to speak.
Exactly. And finally, I think it's important to remember that personal growth is an ongoing journey, not a destination.
Right.
INFPs, like everyone else, are constantly evolving. Embracing this process of self-discovery with curiosity and compassion is key.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the INFP personality, what's the one takeaway you hope listeners will carry with them?
I think the most important message is that INFPs, with their depth, empathy, and unwavering idealism, have unique gifts to offer the world. Embracing their strengths, navigating their challenges, and honoring their authentic selves is not only beneficial for them personally, but can also contribute to making the world a more compassionate and meaningful place.
That's a beautiful thought to end on. Thanks for joining us on this journey of exploring the INFP personality. To all the INFPs out there, keep shining your light.